You may be seated. So a lot of you know that in a former life I was a high school biology teacher. I have lots of great stories from those days. One of the things that I enjoyed the most was cutting things up. Now, I had a Biology 1 class, a Biology 2 class, and an advanced biology class. And primarily in the advanced biology class, we studied two things: human anatomy, and because you can't cut up humans in high school, right, we did other things like, frogs and mice and rats. One year I thought that it would be a good idea, a wise idea, if I raised a herd of rabbits, and they then would become our subject. Another story didn't turn out too well. The other thing that I learned then was about animal behavior. That was the other semester, animal behavior, because animals act a lot like humans. Or the other way around, humans often act a lot like animals. So one of the things that I did back in those days, I watched lots of documentaries, lots of National Geographic. So I want to tell you about one of those documentaries, which tells a lot about animal behavior, but really is about us. So researchers wanted to find out in birds, because we know a little bit about primates, orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, I wanted to find out if birds would share, and even more so, would they do so without getting any kind of reward themselves. So it went kind of like this. They had a number of African gray parrots. They would be paired together. The way it worked is the researcher would give the one parrot a token, and they were trained then that when they were given a token, if they would return it to the researcher, then another researcher would give them a tasty nut nugget. Okay? But the twist was it would be given to their partner, their mate, their friend, another bird. So amazingly, 7 out of 8 times when the African gray parrots were paired together, the researcher would give the token, the bird would return the token, and their friend, their mate, their partner would receive the treat. It's amazing. That's a lot about agape love, the love of the Bible, where we do things without any hope of return at all. Now, the other part of the research was they took blue-headed macaws. Blue-headed macaws, same exact experiment. Token was given to the bird returns it, but now instead of the partner receiving the treat, this bird that gave up the token would hop over here, that's the bird hopping, and receive the treat themselves. No matter how much the other bird chirped or squawked, the first bird would always go over and get the treat. So our question over these next 40 days is this: are you more like the African gray parrot or the blue-headed macaw? That's what we're going to discover in our church and in our families and in each one of you. Now turn to your notes. We have a verse that we're going to memorize. Go ahead and put it up on the screen. You heard it in our gospel reading. I'm going to say it, and then you're going to repeat it. Okay? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. All right? I'll say it, and then you say it. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Go ahead. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It's only 10 words. It's 11 if we put the 4 in front of it, as it is sometimes in the reading. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Go ahead and take it off the screen. See how much you have learned already. Let's say it all together. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So that's the message over these next 40 days. We're going to learn about generosity. In each of our lessons, we're going to go through two things: what the world says, and so that's the first thing. What does the world say about money? And then, what does Jesus say about money? Now, probably, even in the church, because we are a part of the world, a lot of you already have something going up into your brain with some objection. Every year in about October or September, we talk about money and giving and generosity, and you're probably thinking, well, there they go again. The church just wants my money. Or maybe your thought was this: giving is between me and God. It's none of your business. This is private. It's my faith, and I'll live it as I see fit. Well, that's what the world often says. That's what we often say. The left hand should know what the right hand is doing. But let's be real. That's what our young people say a lot today. Pastor, let's just be real. So let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's be transparent. The world bombards us with messages that sound a lot like blue-headed macaws, right? If I do something, then I should be rewarded. Or maybe this one: if you get a little bit extra, maybe a raise, maybe a better job, you get a windfall, there's more money, what's the first thing we often do? Or at least the advertisers want you to do? Upgrade. Get a bigger house, better car, shinier clothes, more of this, because more is always better. Or maybe the message is, spend it while you have it. You get to my age or older, you're getting close to retirement. You don't make as much in retirement. A lot of us won't even have steady income other than what, our pension or Social Security gives us. So spend it now. Later on, then you can downsize. Or if you're wise and you save and you invest, then the message is money equals security. So many of the financial commercials on TV, what's your number? What's your number? How much money do you need to live comfortably and do the things that you want to do in retirement? That's what the world often says. And we get those messages all the time. We get them on TV and in the magazines and newspapers. On social media, you're constantly bombarded. Even if you're talking about something, Alexa hears you, and then the next thing you know, there's the ad on Facebook or some other place. We get these messages all the time. And the problem is this: these messages turn us inward. And we are created in the image of God. And God always looks outward. And he teaches us to do the same. We know the 10 commandments, but what is the greatest commandment? Anybody? Love God. And the second, Jesus says, is like it: love your neighbor. It isn't love self, and yet that's the message of the world, to turn inward to get all that you can for yourself. The world promises that if you do that, you will be happy. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness or joy. The more you get, the happier you will be. And yet we know that is not true. We see all kinds of grumpy people who have lots of stuff. What's the classic Christmas carol? Who's the protagonist in the movie or the play? Scrooge. Is Scrooge happy? No, he's miserable. We call people who have a lot and are not generous Scrooges. It isn't until he learns generosity And he gives to Tiny Tim and his family that he receives true joy in his life. So the world says, close your hands. If you get something, keep it, save it, invest it, buy more. But what does Jesus say? Well, Jesus does say a lot about money. You've heard this before. 1 out of every 10 verses in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, is about money or finances. 16 of the 38 parables about stewardship or money. 2,350 verses in the Bible about money or giving. Why? Well, because the world constantly bombards us with a message that is not giving us any kind of fulfillment. And we need to counter that. We need some wisdom. But far more importantly, Jesus in the Bible talks so much about giving and money because at its core, generosity is discipleship. Generosity. Giving, you heard in the children's message, for God so loved the world that he gave. That's the definition of love, of being like Jesus. You heard from Dane at the very beginning of the service in the announcements. This is our 5th book of the Red Letter Challenge. A lot of you have done these. In the very beginning, it was the words of Jesus. Well, then every year we have gone a little deeper. The first year was the being challenge, being more like Jesus. And then the forgiving challenge, forgiving more like Jesus, not holding on to all the pain and the grudges. And then there was the serving challenge. Jesus came not to be served, but to serve, to give his very life for all of us. And so we're learning to be more like Jesus. As a disciple, that's the very definition, being and doing what the leader is and does. And Jesus Christ was and is the most generous giver of all. God gave his Son, and the Son gave his life. All of his treasures, all of his gifts, all of his time, all that he had, for no reward of his own, but simply because he loved the world and because he loves you. So over these next 40 days, we're going to be talking a lot about joy and about giving, because the more you live the generous life, the more joy that you will experience. Now we have John 10:10 here because it's one of my favorite verses in the Bible. Did anybody look ahead and see that Pastor made a mistake here and he didn't quote John 10:10 correctly? What's the word that has been changed? I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. The old King James says the abundant life. What is a full life or an abundant life if there is no joy in it? At the end of the parable of the talents, the 5-talent person who raised 5 more, the master who is God, he says, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I will give you a whole lot more. Then he says, come and share in your master's joy or happiness. That is what the Lord wants for us in this life and certainly in the life to come. So, to be clear, Jesus is giving us far more than financial advice. He's giving us heart advice. Again, what is our verse? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So often in the church, we wait for this guy up here to inspire us. And then we go and do stuff, or give stuff, or live in a certain way. It's supposed to work the other way around, where first we invest our treasure, and then our heart follows after. Let me explain what I mean. How many of you belong to a gym? Raise your hand. Okay, a few of you are fit. The rest of you will pray for you, right? So you have joined a gym. Then what are you supposed to do? Go, right? You go. You pay the money first. There's your treasure. And then your heart and the rest of your body follow. Another example. How many of you are going to the World Series this year? Anybody? I wonder why not. What if it were here in Chicago? What if you could actually get tickets? They're going to cost a lot of money. What if you could procure them? What if you paid for them? What if you bought them? Then you would go, right? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And so we're going to lead with our treasures and not just learn about it or talk about it, but we're going to practice it. So to help you do that, we're going to give you this book to help you learn that generosity is less about the money that's leaving your hands. It's far more about your heart moving closer to God. Now, the last part, go ahead and put it up on the screen, the heart of the matter. I'm not going to go through all of this because I want you to go home and read it. It's the first 6 days. Every day, a short lesson. Day 6, we're actually going to ask you to do something. Take the book. It's free, just like God's grace. Read it, and then practice it. And see how your life is different and the more joy that you will have after 40 days. Now, during this time, we're going to have some stories. Some people we're going to record them, put them up on the screen, and tell you their story of generosity. Now, I never ask anyone to do that unless I do it first. So here's part of mine. A lot of you also know that 37 years ago, I had cancer. Talked a little bit about it last week. This is not really the cancer story. It's just the prelude to it. So I'm in the seminary. It's my first year at the seminary. I'm doing an internship over the summer. Sharon and I are going to get married in August. It is now June. I discovered that I have cancer. There's surgery. There is chemotherapy. There is weeks in the hospital. There are doctors and more doctors. And did you know that you have to pay for doctors that you never actually see? I didn't know that. Oh, who knew? I had to pay for all of this, and it added up to about $250,000. Today would be close to $1 million. And I have no health insurance. So everything has to come out of my pocket. I will not have an income for at least 2 years. I have no money. Plus, there's other things, right? You have to buy food, and you have to buy transportation and books for school and all of these other things. So when I was growing up, the way generosity worked in my house is we would all go to church, Zion Lutheran Church, Blackburn, Missouri. Every single Sunday, my dad would pass out the money. A nickel or a dime or a quarter, whatever it was. The 5 of us all in a row, the plate comes by, we plunk our money in the plate. That was my version of generosity. I'm sure I was taught better. It was here, but it wasn't here. So I go away to school, I graduate, I work for a while as a teacher, I go to the seminary, I'm getting married, I have the equivalent of $1 million in debt, no income, and I say to my good wife-to-be, I don't think we can give anything to church. I have no money. I'm in debt. We have all kinds of bills. But my wife, who not only knew it up here, but also knew it here, said, no, we are going to tithe. We're going to give the first fruits 10%, and we're going to give it to the church because that's the conduit to giving it to God. $250 million or $250,000 then, $1 million today, was all paid. Remember the African gray parrot? The one received the token so the other could receive the treat. People that I knew, family and friends, all kinds of people I'd never met, after finding out about our plight, gave willingly and lovingly to pay the entire bill. There was so much left over that we could give the bulk of it then to my niece, who had leukemia later on. The point of the story is that I knew it up here. But it wasn't until my treasure wasn't invested in the things of God that my heart followed. The reason that we preach generosity in the church is not to take your money. It's to grow your heart, to become more like Jesus. Because that is who you were created to be, in God's image. And our God is the most generous giver of all. So through these 40 days, I am praying that your treasures would lead your hearts to be more like His.